Whereas if you step back a little bit, I think a good leader does this, step back a little bit and set expectations clearly, what good looks like, right? I think this is a fundamental failing that every business does really, right? What do we expect good to look like? If you give somebody that and say it's yours, you typically, with the right person in the company, and that's a whole debate for another day, but if you've got the right bums on the right seats, you get way better outcomes because of that whole accountability piece. And because you've set clear expectations on what the outcome needs to look like, that person can do their own plans or guides or whatever they need to make sure their inputs are correct to deliver on those outputs. And I know I use them words probably a little bit too often, but for me at Renada, we're doing tasks all day, every day. And the one bit of the business that has spent ages to refine and get perfect is scoping of tasks, setting those expectations right at the beginning. What are we going to do? What problem are we solving? How long is it going to take? How much time are we spending building versus documenting versus handing back? Because once you know all of that, you can make an informed decision. I could just say it costs you $1,000. But then when something starts to go awry, that's when I think worlds come tumbling down because there's just a complete lack of A, trust, but B, no one knows where to stand really.
What you say tracks, because I was fortunate enough to go to a leadership conference once where they had some, I believe they were Navy SEALs, the American badass, super soldiers. And one of the training things that they talked about was that they really focused on what the objective of the mission was versus following orders specifically to the letter. And the example they used was there was this group of people that were supposed to go to the top of this building and they were going to secure the building, right? So that they could then be able to get line of sight on a specific road. That was their objective. So the outcome was get line of sight on that road. And they were told to go to the top of this building. And when they got to the top of the building, they realized that there wasn't enough cover for them. So they knew what the outcome was. So without having to go back and ask for permission, they just went down to another floor, secured that floor where they had cover, and they were able to fulfill the objective. So that was something that we injected into our process systems a lot, which was, let's talk about what we're trying to get accomplished here. We're going to come up with a framework for how we're going to accomplish it. And if you have to deviate from that slightly, that's fine, right? Unless there's something that, you've got these out of bounds areas. Don't do this specifically in order to achieve your goal.
Of course.
But you do want to make sure that you've got an understanding of what the outcome needs to be and setting that outcome. So to your example, your goal is to make sure that these servers have an uptime of 4 nines, right? Therefore, if the server is not on, maybe you should turn it on, even if it's not explicitly written in the SOP, right? I feel like that's a really misunderstood part of process development and training for individuals, because if you're focused so much on the process and not on the outcome, people put blinders on and they don't think about what they should be doing. They think about what they have to do. And I think that removes critical thinking skills, which are, I think, frankly, more important in our industry than any other than maybe being a doctor in our industry.
And it kills not just critical thinking, but, creativity as well.